Hey everybody, it's Ron. Today I want to show you what it's like to shoot with the Nikon Z8 and the 500 PF lens using the FTZ2 adapter. So I've been using my Z8 my Nikon Z8 with the 180-600 quite a bit, and I'm really happy with that combination. But I've had several people on the channel ask me about using my 500 PF with the FTZ2 adapter on the Z8 to see what the performance was like. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to walk around a local park near my house and try to find some birds to photograph or any other kind of wildlife I can see. So far, I have used the 500 PF today, and the performance of it seems to be on par with the Z8. Focus seems to be snappy and quick. The eye detect is working. I was able to find an owl just a little while ago to photograph, and the eye detect was picking up the left and then sometimes the right eye, depending on which way the owl turned its head. And let me show you some of those photographs right now in this video. So as you can see, this barred owl, which I believe this one here is the female. Now I have seen the male on days before this. I kind of know where this owl is. So I was looking for it today on the way home and it was there. So I was able to get quite a few pictures of it. And the ISO on that thing was 16,000, as you can see. But the Z8 cleans up really nicely on those high ISOs. Don't be afraid of those high ISOs on the Z8 or the Z9. You can clean those up really well. It's kind of a cloudy, overcast day right now. So I found a park bench here that I'm just sitting at. And there's quite a few birds flying around. So I'm just gonna sit here real still, and they don't have to get very close to me with this. There's a couple swallows flying around. That could be a challenging thing to get with a bird in flight action. Right away, one of the things you're going to notice is the weight difference between the 180-600 and the 500 PF. There's quite a bit of difference. Plus, this lens is not as long as the 180-600, so it's real easy to handhold to shoot birds in flight and just swing around really quickly. And that's one of the nice advantages to having this lens, even with the FTZ2 adapter on here on the Z8. Well, I took my glasses off to shoot, and that's mostly how I do shoot. I don't usually wear my glasses when I got my camera up to my face like this. And I'm kind of the opposite of everybody else. I'm right-handed, but I'm left eye dominant. So normally when I'm shooting, I'm like this. So I'm a little bit different than most people are. Well, I just had a Killdeer. I heard it first, and it just landed right over there on the ground. So I was able to get a couple of photographs of it, and I'll show those to you in the video. The focus system, the eye detect just locked on just like that. It was probably about 30 feet away from me. That's pretty impressive. So my focus setting is 3D tracking with bird detect. I find that works better for me. Some guys use different ways, you know, auto, wide area, small, even auto area. But I like the 3D tracking on this camera, and it works really well for me. My exposure settings on this are 1/1600 of a second on the shutter speed, f8, and my ISO is floating right around 80 to 100. That's pretty good. Well, after sitting at the bench for a while, I think I'm going to take a walk across this bridge and go to the other side. And they've been doing some work over here, but I see some trees out near the point of this lake. I'm going to walk out that way and see if I see any kind of bird activity. One thing I have noticed already is distance seems to play a factor based on the bird size. So I'm out here trying to photograph smaller songbirds like robins and those kind of birds. There's plenty of them around. And I was probably about, I don't know, 50 to to 75 feet away from one that was in a tree over there, and the autofocus system was having trouble locking on to the eye. It was catching the body, but it wasn't catching the eye. So distance based on subject size does play an issue. And I believe too, sometimes the contrast of an image of a bird or an animal would also affect the focusing. I'm not sure if that's a problem with the lens camera combo, or if that's just the focusing system, or it could be because I'm using 3D tracking. I don't know. I'm not really good at doing these kind of tests. What I'm just trying to do is answer some questions, is how well does the 500 PF perform with the Nikon Z8. And so far with the bird photographs I've been able to capture, I am happy with that. I just seen a squirrel over here, so I'm going to try to switch over to animal detect and see if it'll pick up on that squirrel. I just spotted a couple squirrels over here playing around in the grass. I've switched over to animal eye detect using 3D tracking, and we're going to take some photographs of those squirrels and see what they look like. I was very impressed with that. The eye detect worked very well on them squirrels. I switched over to animal mode. And I had a chipmunk over here I was trying to photograph, but I can't see where he went now. They're usually pretty elusive. Well, I was able to get a few shots of the chipmunk before it disappeared in a wood pile over there. So as the chipmunk emerged from this pile of sticks, I was able to capture this photograph of it. And the ISO for this one was 2500. Now I have washed this through noise reduction software, the Lightroom noise deduction, and probably that was about it. I don't think I did a whole lot of editing to these. I want to show you in the next two sequences here is what happens when this thing misses focus. This squirrel, this chipmunk here is in focus, but in the second image I'm going to show you now that it missed focus and focused on the leaves just to the side of it. So I think it was hunting, trying to find the chipmunk. The grass blades that were in front of its eyes and stuff were causing the focus system to be confused. It took a second for that to lock on. I'm not too sure why. It could be because there was a wood pile there and the squirrel was, the chipmunk was jumping around quite a bit. We're doing some more testing. I'll give you my final opinion here at the end of the video. Just walking around trying to find some birds. Well, I'm having a little bit of a hardware wardrobe problem, and I can't seem to find a good place to put my microphone, my wireless microphone. So I'm gonna clip it in my pocket, see how that sounds. Anyways, I'm gonna stand back here by this tree, kind of make myself blend in with the tree, and see if we can see some birds. One thing I like about it is the compact size. I mean, this is very, very hand holdable. I think the Z8 weighs about as much as the D500, which I have one of those too. And that's normally what I have this 500 PF married to, is the D500. One of my helpful tools that I like to use is my iPhone. It helps me identify bird calls. Although I've been listening to bird calls for a few years now, I'm starting to get used to quite a few of them. But I use the Merlin ID app to kind of see what kind of birds are in the area and what to look for. Right now I'm hearing a red-bellied woodpecker. Well, I'm going to walk down the path a little bit farther and see if I see any birds. So far they've been here and there, but I just haven't seen a lot of birds. And I don't know what I expected when I came to this park. I've never been here before. And we're going to go down the path right down here and see if I can see any birds. I found a small warbler of some kind in a tree branch over here. And I was able to capture the focus pretty quickly using the 3D bird detect. And it locked on its eye. And I'm going to look at those photographs, and if it turned out, I'm going to show you one in the video right now. So this warbler here is a palm warbler, and this is a breeding adult. So I wanted to show you, this is the full size image here with no cropping. It had noise reduction applied to it because it was ISO 2000. I used the Lightroom denoise, and that was about it. I didn't apply any other edits to this. So in the second image, what I did is I just cropped in really tight, and you can see the amount of crop I got out of this Z8 image. One of the reasons I purchased the Z8 was, and with the high megapixel count, was for the croppability of the images. You can switch the camera into DX mode and get it in camera, but I prefer just to shoot it full frame and then crop in afterwards in post. I'm moving real slow, just one step at a time, so that it doesn't perceive me as a threat. And like I said in my other videos before, birds seem to react to movement more than anything. So I'm trying to be real still so I don't spook this one off. I still want to get a better photograph of it at a better angle. So I was able to move around slowly on the path and get it a different angle. Now if you'll notice, this cedar tree has a branch or part of a branch that's right in front of the bird. The focus tried to lock onto that several times, but it finally picked up the eye detect and got locked on the bird. So I think this image is very sharp. The ISO on it was 2500. So I thought the Z8 with the 500 PF did a really good job of getting focus on this bird. And in this next image at ISO 1600, this is another warbler. It's not a palm warbler. I didn't take time to identify which one it was. But this is a full frame version of it, no cropping, just a denoise applied to it. And this is a heavy crop of that same image. So I just wanted to show you the clarity of that bird. I'm really impressed with the Z8. It does a wonderful job of photographing things. It's just a wonderful camera. Nikon's really done a good job with this. Well, I'm going to have to head back to the car because one of the disadvantages of having a Z8 is the batteries do not last a long time. And I did not come down this path with a fully charged battery, and I left my other fully charged battery in the car. So I'm going to head back slowly and see if I can see any more birds that I can photograph and show you. And when I get back to the car, get to the end of this video, I'll give you my opinion on using the 500 PF with the Z8. And here are a few images of a titmouse I found in the tree. I wanted to show this off again, the full frame version of it, and then the second image was the crop version. And then in this third photograph is another full frame image of the same bird, and the fourth image is a crop version of that. And then the last one is of a finch. I just was so happy with this croppability of this camera, I wanted to show these images one more time. Okay, well, I've done some testing with the 500 PF on the Nikon Z8, and I'm not real good at this, so I'm going to try to do the best I can. I was on 3D tracking with bird detect as my focus mode, and I found that if you had a clear shot, there wasn't any obstructions or grass blowing or leaves blowing, it did a really good job of locking on. It's probably a camera function, not a lens function. What I did notice though is the 500 PF seems to be just as snappy on the Z8 as it does on the D500. I'm using the FTZ2 adapter, and I don't think that really makes a difference if you got the #1 adapter or the #2 adapter. Anyways, I think if you've got the 500 PF, that buying the Nikon Z8 is a good option to get some new features, new focusing system, and what have you. It does work fairly well with the Z8. If you don't have the 500 PF and you're considering buying the Z8, then I would probably seriously look at the 180 to 600, 6.3. And the reason why is cost. The 500 PF, if you buy it brand new, is about $3,400, somewhere around that range. The 180 to 600 runs right around, I think it's $1,700, $1,699, might be $1,899, I don't remember, but it's about half, okay? That's an auctioneer's term right there. It's about half of the 500 PF. So I wouldn't rush out and buy the 500 PF and the Z8. I think what I would do is if I didn't have a 500 PF and I was considering the Z8, I would buy the 180-600 with the Z8 if you're a wildlife photographer. Now, if you're not a wildlife photographer, but you want the Z8 with a good all-around walk-around lens, then my suggestion to you is to get the 24-120 f4 lens. That is what I bought with my Z8. I bought it as a kit form, and I am really, really impressed with the 24-120. I have the 24-70 f4 lens. I had that with my Nikon Z6IIs, and I still use it on my my Nikon Z6ii that I still have in my possession. I did sell one of my Nikon Z6IIs to fund the Z8. Anyways, that's my opinion. If you have the 500 PF and you're considering buying the Z8, do it, okay? Don't forget the FTZ adapter. If you don't have the 500 PF and you're considering the Z8, then I would buy the 180-600. I have both. The 180-600 is heavier, but it's a really, really sharp, good lens. I think Nikon really hit a home run with that lens. Plus, it's very affordable for most people. So that's my opinion. Anyways, thanks for coming along today. If you got some use out of this video, give me a thumbs up, please. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. My name is Ron Durant. I'm a photographer, and I live in East Tennessee. Y'all have a nice day now. Bye-bye.